Hi, boys and girls. My name is Technical Sergeant, retired Marla Retano. You probably know me best as Mrs. Retano, the first grade teacher. I love being a teacher, but I wasn't always a teacher. Before I did this, I was in the United States Air Force, and I loved being in the Air Force as well. In the military, I had many different jobs. One of my favorite jobs was as a mechanic on the B-52 airplane, where I worked on the bombing and the navigational systems. The way this looked was I would go every day, I would go into my shop, I would get my toolbox, and I would go outside. I got on a truck and I would either drive that truck or ride with other mechanics that were going to their airplanes, and we would go out to the flight line. That's where they kept all the airplanes. And I would go to the plane I was going to work on that day. When I got to my airplane, I would get out and open the hatch of on the belly of the B-52, and it would drop down along with a few steps. When I went up into the airplane, there were two levels. The bottom level had the radar nav and the navigator sat, and on the top level was where the co-pilot, the pilot, and the bombardier sat. Most of my equipment was on the bottom level and right between the navigators underneath the instrument panels, so that meant that I had to crawl on my hands and knees and go way back in there to fix the equipment that I needed to test and replace. And it was a really good thing I was skinny back then, because it was so constrictive. Some of the other equipment that I worked on was, there was an antenna underneath the nose of the airplane, and outside on the sides were also a TV camera and an infrared camera. On the upstairs level, where the co-pilot and the pilot was, where the co-pilot and the pilot were, there was an extra seat, and that was for visitors and for mechanics. So when it was needed, I would fly with the crew for 8 or 10 hours in order to fix something that could not be duplicated on the ground. What a job it was. That cameras were not allowed in the flight line or in the shop. So I included a few pictures, one of a B-52 and two pictures, one of me in my green uniform and one in my blue uniform. It was really easy for me to decide what I was going to wear every day to work, because if I was going to the shop, I'd wear the green one, and if it was a special occasion, I would wear the blue one. Thank you so much for listening.